Hello, everyone. On Microbiz Matters Day, it is my great pleasure to introduce the king of customer service, Mr. Umesh Samani, who has graced our presence on previous Microbiz Matters Days and has completely altered the face of what it is to be a used car salesperson because Umesh has the most fantastic business called Specialist Cars. He also has a lovely workshop and maintenance and garage, providing the most exquisite customer service. And it's my pleasure to talk to him today about how customer service makes the difference to building a business. So, Umesh, thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Tony. Thank you for the invite. Pleasure to be on here.
Lovely. Now, I was talking to you a little bit earlier, and you actually gave me an example of what happens day to day with Umesh Samani in your business in terms of these raving fans that you create as customers. Could you give us that example?
Absolutely. So a text this morning just arrived in, and it starts as a previous customer who is thinking of buying a new car, but the text arrived this morning after spending it says, "Thank you for your time and help this morning. I had forgotten how painless buying a car can be when neither side wants to complicate things unnecessarily."
Absolutely fabulous. Isn't that great? And one of the things that you've done is, like, we've been talking to lots of our guests about the pandemic and how that affected them and how they managed to keep going, or in some cases, unfortunately, had to completely change direction and regarding their businesses, or even go into employment and various things. But you managed to keep going by demonstrating your brilliant customer service by primarily the use of video. Isn't that right, Umesh?
Absolutely. I mean, when the pandemic started, I think none of us, Tony, realised, the effect it's going to have on all different businesses. Fortunately, I've been shouting about videos for a number of years now, and 2 years ago, I think this is when it actually catapulted certainly my business, if not other businesses as well. The use of video. I mean, it's so easy, the use of video. I know a lot of people get frightened of videos or hearing their own voices back or looking back at themselves thinking, "Oh God, is that how I look on the video?" But this is who we are, aren't we? So none of us should be really worried about how we look, how we come over. We are just naturals. But certainly using the video just catapulted my business. I do full walk around video of every single car. So it's almost like the customers walking around the car with me, seeing every detail, every attention, so nothing's left to chance, nothing's hidden. It's full transparency. It's like almost being there with the car. And there was so many customers literally going to the website or watching the videos, reading some of the reviews, and saying, "I want to buy that car." And they were genuinely just registering or reserving the cars on my website. Just, I want that car, or they're ringing up and saying, "I've seen your video, I've seen the car, I want it." And that's a massive, massive boost. You can imagine when everything's shut down, showrooms were closed, people couldn't come and visit. So you've got to make use of technology, haven't you, really? And I think some businesses grasped it and got on with it, and sadly, some people still don't do it, and I don't know why.
I mean, to be personal about it, how did you manage to keep your revenue up to a similar level as to what it was before during pandemic, or did what kind of what was the situation in terms of money coming in?
In a bizarre twist, the last 2 years have been the best 2 years of my 25 years of trading.
Umesh, great, and that's why you're on the show. You're on the key customer service. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. And one of the things is that just to tell people in terms of how much was the outlay on video equipment, or I mean how much, because they are superb. Because you all also, if a customer especially during the pandemic, said that they wanted to see more of something or whatever, you'd take a little personalized video, wouldn't you, and send
That's
it
right.
to them. So,
Yeah.
what was your outlay in terms of actually getting these videos so that you could put them together?
Right. You'll be amazed to know
Yeah,
I use my phone.
I thought you did.
Yeah. So, so
Brilliant.
I've got my iPhone. There we go. Right way around. So I
Yeah,
use
yeah,
my iPhone, and I just literally walk around with the car. The only thing which I spend a little bit of time doing is the thing with iPhones, they're absolutely wonderful, wonderful things,
yeah,
is it picks up all the background noise sometimes. And obviously, we can't always control the weather or the sounds behind us.
yeah.
So you get a bit of either wind noise or cars behind you or people shouting in the background from across the car wash. So
Yeah.
what I've been doing certainly for the last 2 years, my original videos have always got the sound in the background, but I just felt I just want to tweak it up a little bit better to make the user experience better. So nothing worse than if you're watching me walking around talking about a car, sort of muffling sound, wind noise, whatever. So I thought, right, okay. So what I will do is I actually uploaded the videos through Dropbox onto my desktop,
Right.
took the sound away, and actually recorded the voiceover after. So it's a lot clearer and better for the user experience. So all they can hear is just me literally talking about the car as opposed to all the background noises. So I sort of tweaked that up a little bit, but cost-wise, it's negligible what I've spent. It's very little, if anything, to be honest with you. So because the phone does everything for me, it's just a bit extra time of just tweaking the voiceover, and the other thing, which is it's YouTube. It's free of charge, Tony. The second biggest search engine in the world, and I still get a lot of inquiries from old videos because I just tend to leave them on. If I sold a car, doesn't matter, it was 10 years ago. People ring up and say, I know you haven't got that, but can you find me? And that starts another conversation. So that's another lead generator, isn't it? Really, free of charge.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you ever so much. That's brilliant. People will love that because they know, as micro business owners, if we know that something can be done to the professionalism that you do it, Umesh, but it doesn't cost a lot of money. It may cost a bit of time, but it doesn't cost a lot of money. Then we're much more likely to do it. So
I think, Tony, I think the biggest trouble, I think, Tony, a lot of people always say they haven't got time, but you know what? They'll sit there having 10 cups of tea and saying they haven't got time instead of actually doing something about it.
Brilliant, brilliant, love it. Now, one of the things that actually happens in terms of customer service, which I think again is unique to you, is the fact that you provide the same level of high customer service in terms of if somebody's got a problem, for example, they might come into your garage with one thing, if you like, and you notice something else, and that leads to a relationship which down the line can lead to all sorts of great things. Could you just tell us a couple of stories? I mean, I know a few from the times that we've been communicating, but could you just give us like a couple of stories of where even you've been surprised by the fact that what you just regard as doing a professional job to actually help a customer has led to new business in the future?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's so many examples, but one which is a strange one, how the situation started, was a customer who was visiting the local pottery factory across the road from our showroom, and he just popped up one afternoon from, I think it was Aylesbury, if I remember right. So he'd been to Birmingham to show somewhere, came up to Aylesbury, so from Aylesbury up to Stoke-on-Trent to look at some pottery ware for his restaurant. He had an Indian restaurant down there, and he called in because he had a bulb out on the vehicle. So one of the systems or processes that I've got is anybody comes to the premises with a vehicle, we take the full details down. So name, address, email, contact details. And he said, well, I've only got a bulb out. Why do I have to go through all the rigmarole? Just put me a bulb in. So we said, look, this is the process. So whoever's been in the premises, we just take your details down. It's, if you don't want us to contact you in future, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be bombarded with emails and phone calls and whatever, but it's just you've been in our premises. We worked on your vehicle. And the other thing which I also did at the same time, as just all technicians, was when you've obviously done that, just give the tyres a check round, just a standard procedure, you know. So as we're looking round, done the bulb, look, I want 2 tyres on it. They were bald, and he was like, "Oh, didn't realise they were that bad. Do you do tyres?" Of course we do. We've got a tyre bay at the front. So whilst the vehicle's in having the 2 tyres changed, again, part of our process is we put it onto our system and it tells us when the MOT is due. Right. And the MOT had expired on the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, so only because we've got the process, we checked that. So I approached him. I said, "Look, a bit more bad news for you. I know you're having the 2 tyres, but you've got no MOT." And he said, "I've just been discussing that with a friend of mine. It's due next week." I said, "Well, not according to the DVLA government website. You ran out, whatever it was, last Friday or something." Panic. Can you do an MOT now? And I said, "We can't do anything today because my technician's just finishing one off and he's got to shoot off somebody got an appointment that night." So I said, "We're just running out of time." I said, "Let me just see if I can make a phone call to another garage one up the road, see how they're fixed. Can't promise you anything, but I'll do my best." So rang the garage up the road. "Can you do the MOT for us? For this customer, for send him up there?" "Yes, send him up and we'll get it done for him." And anyway, in his haste to get away, paying for the tyres to get it up there for the MOT, he'd forgotten his card on the front counter. So he shot off. And because we got his contact details, guess what? I managed to ring him and say, "Mr. Customer, your card is still here on our machine." But when he came back, he actually apologized. And he says, "Do you know what?" He said, "I know I was a bit harsh with you when you were asking me all my names, address, and my trouser length or whatever." He says, "But this was just," he said, "you know, but if you hadn't done that, I'd have been driving with 2 bald tires, no MOT. Had he been pulled up, you know, on his journey back, no insurance, no MOT. It doesn't. But I think, you know, if you had an accident, what would happen?" It just that's just a little thing, you know, that we try to go over and beyond. It would have been too easy just to put a bulb in, charge him, and thank you very much.
Absolutely.
They can go away.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a fantastic story. And the other thing is like you're actually now in the situation by like me, you've been running your business a long time, and you're now in a situation where generations are coming back to specialist cars, aren't they? Because of the professional service that I mean, that's the point you've made, I think, is about the process, really, Umesh, is that every customer gets this high level of service, don't they? You know, you want to be the best in customer service, so that's the norm. If they come to you, they get the very best customer service that you can actually give, whatever they come in for, whether it's just a light bulb or whether it's to actually buy a very expensive car. They all get this fantastic level, but word of mouth is so powerful for you in keeping your business going, because you've now got to the situation where you've got generations actually coming to buy from you, haven't you?
I certainly have, and I've got a couple of little stories I'll sort of tell you on that one. So one is a family. This is 3rd generation that bought off me. So the first car they bought was 1985. They bought a Golf off me, and then a few years later, they brought the son round and said, "Phil, this is Umesh. This is where we buy all the cars from." So he bought the car, and a few years back, he brought his young son Sam, and he says, "Meet Umesh." So this is like 3 generations, you know, and it's just great, actually, you know, very humble that people actually put that trust in you. And over the years, many customers have just said to me, "Look, this is the sort of car that I want, or this is my budget," and they've just let me go and spend that money for them, get the car, buy it unseen, 100% knowing the car's going to be right. And at the end of the day, you don't abuse that trust. It's a trust both ways, isn't it? Number one, the fact that they're trusting me to find the best car for the best price for them as such. But also, I know that when the car's here, they're going to pick the car up because the car's going to be right. So I'm the trust on both sides. So I'm going to spend the money, although they're not paid me for it. They'll pay me after for the car, or sometimes before. So it's there. But I've got another little quick story about another bulb, actually, bizarrely. It's again nearly 20, years ago, probably. A lady pulled up one Saturday afternoon. She was driving past and somebody told her brake light bulb was out on a little Polo. So she pulled up on the forecourt and said, "Oh, garage is closed." I said, "What's the problem?" "I've got a brake light bulb out." I said, "Oh, let me have a look. I've got a box full of bulbs here." Put a brake light bulb in. She said, "How much do you?" I said, "Nothing at all. That's okay. Just pleasure to help you out." She drove away. She was new to the area, or she was passing through the area to visiting some friends just in Newcastle, which is 4 or 5 miles up the road. While she was talking to her friends, she told her the experience of popping into here for a bulb. A few weeks later, they came down and bought a Golf off me.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, her sister bought a Golf off me a few months later. Her father bought a car off me. And fast forward about 8-9 years later, this is about 3-4 years ago, I get a phone call from a couple miles and miles away wanting to sell me a Porsche. I'm thinking, that's bizarre. They're like, 150 miles away. Why would they ring me? So anyway, I didn't sort of question them too much. I thought, okay, my reputation is getting a bit further afield. Took all the details down. We agreed, figure subject to me looking at the vehicle, etc., etc. And they came over that Saturday. We agreed to buy the car. And whilst sitting there, I said, "What made you ring me?" And she said, "Well, my sister bought this car," and she told me the whole story. So that was the connection from that little brake light bulb story from all those years ago.
One light bulb.
One light bulb moment.
Many cars. It's absolutely fantastic.
It's just strange how these things start, isn't it?
Umesh, that's absolutely brilliant. We could do all the stories of all the different people. Oh, that's wonderful. Absolutely great. But the thing is, you are the king of customer service, and you're proving it at the moment. Now, I want to really kind of finish by, because those examples, nobody could better those, and that is you. And I noticed on social media the other day that first tea master Martin Mullin, who's been a massive supporter of Microbiz Matters Day, actually, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it said, like, what is the difference in your business? And you answered, "That's easy, it's me." and what, this is something that I know both of us agree on, that we want to say to everybody, is that there's a lot of talk about creating your brand and creating your logo and your mission statements and all those kind of things. But what you've actually done is, like, you've actually built a very, very successful business as an individual, and what the customer knows, both with the garage which you bought and which specialist cars which you built from the beginning, is that they get Umesh Samani's values behind it and his professional customer service. What would you say to anybody starting up in business? And I don't think this is sector specific. I don't think this is the motor trade or anything else. I think it relates to all sectors. What would be your advice to somebody starting up at the moment who's thinking, "Oh, I must come up with this fantastic name for my business, and I must do things," against the fact that you and I have built businesses really around our personalities and our values and what we do? What would be your advice to anybody starting up a business about the importance of personal relationships, customer service, supplier trust, all of those kind of things that we do?
Very interesting point, Tony. I think, as you say, a lot of people go out there with the intention of creating, a brand with marketing, the names and whatever. But I think deep down, I think it's very easy. I really do. I think, number one, you've got to love what you do.
Right.
You got to have the passion for what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't love it, you don't have the passion for what you're doing, I think you've lost half the game, in my opinion. I think that's number one. I think you've just got to be open and honest with people, because then you haven't got to remember everything. If you're open and honest, you're there. And the other thing which you said earlier on is, you don't cross people, because you're on this, if you meet anybody, I mean, over the years, I've not crossed any single customer. You just have to be straight with people, look after them the way that you want to be looked after. That's the thing I always say, how would, if I bought, let's say, a car from you, Tony, something went wrong, how would I like to be treated? Things can go wrong in any business, don't they, really? But I like to think, if something goes wrong, it's unexpected, you just put yourself in the customer's shoes, look after them that way. And that is another thing, there's nothing worse than, spending money with any business. You have an issue or a problem, and all you do is get fobbed off. And all of a sudden, your reputation's gone. People talk, don't they? You have a bad experience, and they tell 10 people. Good experience, they might tell one. So I think it's just looking after people and having a genuine interest in the people. It's not about money or anything. It's just actually having a genuine interest in building a business long-term wise. I think that goes a long way, and I just believe, look after people, be fair with people. We all need to make profit to survive. Profit's not a dirty word. I keep telling everybody, if I don't make profit, I can't afford to look after customers. So, I have to look after you. So I'm going to make profit out of you. So don't begrudge me making money out of you, because I'll be here long-term wise, looking after you for the future. And I always say there's a sign somewhere in the showroom that I put up 20 years ago. When they buy the first car, that's the start of a relationship, a long-term relationship. It's not just that one car. To me, it's a long-term relationship, So it's either buying a car, selling a car, servicing, repairs, MOTs, whatever it may be. It's actually providing a service, But, salesmen do have this historic sheepskin jacket and cigar and image, don't they, really? And I think I'm trying to break that by just being who I am and loving what I do.
I think you've broken it. I think you've absolutely, smashed it. Umesh, when he was talking there, it's just created one more question, which is quite interesting, because a lot of us find the difficulty and sometimes disappointment, certainly I have, when we take over staff, and when you took over or bought the garage. How have you gone about instilling these values so that the people doing the repairs and the mechanics, the engineers that you actually employ, actually have adopted your customer service values as well?
Staff is always challenging, isn't it, really? Because I think we get very critical of how we are and what we expect. And one thing I think everybody's got to be mindful of is none of the staff will be as good as you will be, and that's the problem. It's not their baby. It's our little baby. We've started the business or whatever it is. So majority won't have the same commitment. But I think, again, it's instilling in them how to look after customers fairly. And from me, I don't put pressure on to say you need to perform 110% efficiency or 90% efficiency. To me, it's like we do the job right first time. And again, going back to, if a car's in the workshop, for example, keep customers posted of what's going on with the car. We all like to be updated. And I think a lot of businesses make the mistake, particularly the service industry, where nobody gives updates on what's going on. So the customer's sitting at the end of the phone waiting, is it passed? Has it failed? Do I need to spend £1,000? Is it okay? So I think it's, and I just sort of, I think the watch what I do with my customers, and most of them tend to mimic what I do, which is nice, actually. And I always try to say, look, this is the way you talk to people. Little things like that, I've got different phrases on different screensavers which come up to say how to answer the phone, how to talk to people, and have conversations with people. So again, it's like going to a dentist. People worry, don't they? They come to the service reception area. It's like, oh my God, who are we going to be treated? Especially if it's a female, they're worried about garages. So it's like, I've got female receptionists, but they get into common ground, have a conversation. And it's not just about selling you and me situation. It is genuinely interested, first name terms with majority of the customers. That's how they want to be talked to, and the friends. That it's not just a business transaction. To me, it's a long-term thing, and customers become very, very good friends over the years. It's not just a transaction, as far as I'm concerned.
Lovely. No, that is absolutely great. Thank you very much, Umesh. It's been, well, an undoubted pleasure. And I know that when we show the, well, you are the king of customer service. And so I'm sure we'll get a massive viewing again of what you've done. So thank you very much for participating in the 8th and last annual Microbiz Matters Day. And it has been a real pleasure talking to you again. Thank you, Umesh.